one of the best tricks out there. Actually, it is my favorite trick, is the tank wheelie. And there's a couple ways to get to that position. You can either start with the bike on the ground, clutch it up, or you can jump to position, or you can jump from the seat. Kyle does all three, and he does them very well. Kyle, why don't you explain to everybody how we do that?
Basically, you've already seen how to do the tank wheelie from starting. You're in the position like this when you come up. Okay, let me explain this to you a little different. Let's say you're sitting down. You're in your tank position. Roar, you clutch it up. Okay, you're still in the coming up stage. As you're coming up, you're leaning back more and you're extending your feet. That's how that works out. You don't really want to sit there like this on the ground and come up. You kind of like everything happens all at once type of situation.
When jumping to the tank, there's something that's very important to consider for us, is where our left foot is in relation to the shift lever. I don't want to be resting my foot on the shift lever, because if I'm in second gear and I'm doing this trick, I don't want to push it down into neutral at first gear when I jump to the tank. Kyle, why don't you show exactly how you jump to the tank?
Well, there's a couple ways to jump tank. You can do it from the front pegs, which is basically almost into a stand-up wheelie, and like this. The only problem with this is it's kind of an abrupt jump. So like there's a lot of chance of throttle chopping going on when you're sitting here, and you're kind of in a vulnerable position. What happens is, I've seen guys do this, they'll be like this, and when they go to make the jump, they let off from the throttle, and then the bike comes down a lot, so then they got to gas way back into it. It's an ugly looking thing. It's almost like you have to overcompensate for something like that.
Right. One thing that I do is, as the bike's coming up in the wheelie, immediately after I clutch it up, as it's coming up to the balance point, I'll jump right into the tank position. What that enables me to do is ride the wheelie out a little bit longer, because the longer I wait to jump to the tank, like Kyle said, there's a better chance that I might overcompensate by dropping the throttle, trying to save myself a little bit, and I might not have the gear that's going to pull me back up into that position. So I want to do it as soon as possible.
Another way I personally like to get up to the tank is I go from a seat stander to the tank wheelie. That's my personal favorite. So I'll be riding the stand up. I do the seat stander like this, and then I jump from the seat stander into the tank wheelie.
Right.
That's my personal favorite. The only problem with that is that's more of a harsh jump, because you're going from the seat onto the tank.
Right.
So you have a tendency, like I always have a tendency to knock the bike down. So actually what I do, believe it or not, it sounds crazy, when I'm in my seat stander position, I'm doing a good seat stander, I actually gas it enough to where if I was going to stand here, I'd just loop the whole thing. As I jump, I gas it even more, because when I meet my bike and hit it, I'm pushing it down. So I kind of bring the bike up to me as I hit the bike, and I even everything out.
Right. Once Kyle jumps from the rear seat, he doesn't grab a whole handful of throttle, but he has to compensate for the fact that he's got 200 pounds jumping now onto the tank of the bike. It's just moving the weight differently on the bike, so he's got to compensate with a little bit more throttle.
The key to having a good looking tank wheelie is the spread. To get the good spread, you want to sit close to the tank as possible, shift your body weight if you have to, get ready to spread, hold your legs close, and spread them as you're coming up. Confidence is the key in this. You can use a little bit of engine brake if you want to get a good wheelie, but as you're coming down, you want to hug the bike with your legs to gain control, pull your clutch in, and brace yourself. Me and Matt like to manipulate a lot of engine brake in our tank wheelies, high chairs, stuff like that. We're trying not to get into that too much right here. It is possible with stock sprockets, except we'd have to be up around 100, maybe 110 miles an hour, and our chase car couldn't keep up with that, so we had to go with the bigger gearing for this one. All right, one thing to remember is, like we talked about earlier, Matt was explaining to you the survival reactions, all right? Let's say we're over here, we're minding our own business, we're in a tank wheelie. Some survival reactions take over for some reason. I don't know, maybe a friend of yours is turning in front of you, something, I don't know what it is. So you chop the throttle. Well, guess what? You chop the throttle, you still got all the engine brake to deal with. Number one, the front wheel slams down on the ground and wants to throw you over. You might be in a weird position like this, but you might recover, okay? So you're in a weird position. Well, now you got the engine brake to deal with, and that's just gonna throw you, and you're doing one of these numbers, right? And this is what it looks like a second before you check out, and that's the last thing you're gonna ever remember. So the main thing you wanna do is this. Let's replay that scenario on a winning situation. You'll be in your tank wheelie, your buddy pulls a U-turn in front of you. You chop it, you close the throttle for a second, get back on it. The second the front tire hits, pull the clutch in and just kind of hug the bike with your feet. And then you're cool, full control, you got the clutch in, bike's in neutral. You slow it down and you get in a fist fight with your buddy.